Jim Kessler is also with us, former legislative and policy director to Senator Chuck Schumer and senior vice president for policy and co-founder of Third Way. Jim, are Democrats willing to shut the government down if they don't get a DACA deal?
I think it's possible. This was a promise that the president made. He made it months ago when he made deferred action on DACA and said he was going to end that program. This is a problem of his making. Democrats said they want to get it solved. We're going to see if the president's going to tell the truth or not. So far, hasn't been very good at telling the truth.
How is it a problem of his making?
It's a problem of his making because it was his choice to say we are going to end the DACA program and set up a deadline. And this is the deadline that he set up. And if you look at his tweets from that day, he said DACA recipients have nothing to worry about. We're going to solve it by this date. But as you can tell, the things that the president says, you can't really believe.
Dan, let me get your thoughts on that, because there are a lot of people who say previous presidents, previous Congresses had a huge role in where we are today.
There's no question. Unless you light a fire into Congress, nothing gets done. The president, calling for the end of DACA by a certain deadline at least brought the Democrats to the table. But let's not forget, DACA is a symptom. It's not the problem. The problem is the immigration policy of the United States is not serving its citizens and the future of the country very well at all. We have basically unlawful, unrestricted mass migration flooding the unskilled job market and wreaking havoc on our society. That's an ill-advised path, and Democrats who want to spend all their time talking about identity politics and accusing the president of this and that and language in a meeting are ducking the issue. We need to have a serious debate about immigration policy in this country.
Jim, the Democrats have indicated, they're willing to shut down the government. That hurts the military, does it not?
The Democrats indicated they're willing to solve the immigration problem. They passed a bill in 2013 with bipartisan support that should have been signed into law, and the wacko Tea Party in the House killed that bill. Look, we've had government shutdowns before. They usually last a couple of days. That might happen this time. It's up to the president to show some leadership, to show that he is not a bleep hole president, and to solve this problem and to be serious about it. It's on him at this point. It's not on Democrats.
Well, I don't know, Dan. I mean, it's up to Congress to write law, and what we need is an immigration law. The president said months ago that he wanted Congress to solve the problem. Why has Congress not picked up the ball?
I think you have to look at Democratic leadership and, frankly, the most moderate members of the Republican caucus, like Flake and Graham, who are, in fact, acting in bad faith. The president had a very public televised meeting with the leadership of the Congress a week ago. He came out and said, look, I understand you're concerned about DACA, and I'll help you on that issue. But I need the three pillars. I need border security. I need an end to chain migration. I need an end to lottery migration. We're going to replace it with a merit-based system. Since that time, the Democrats have run back to their corner and talked about race and identity politics and everything except the issues. That's bad faith. If they're serious, you have to solve the other person's problems, not just your own. The Democrats are saying, look, if you give us everything we want.
All right, go ahead, Jim.
The president certainly made that easy to do. Look, the president, when that bipartisan deal showed up, the first thing he did is he said he supported and he invited the leaders to come over to do it. And then in 2 hours, he changed his mind. I mean, we need a little backbone here from the president. And look, you can't blame Democrats because the president uses off-color remarks about people of a different race. That's the cross that we have to bear with this president right now. That is not Democrats' fault.
With all due respect, Jim, there are a lot of presidents who have used off-color language, LBJ among them, but it generally didn't leave the Oval Office.
Well, I think we have a president this time where things are going to leave the Oval Office and who is breaking all sorts of rules and conventions. And, frankly, he had a deal with these bipartisan senators, and then he broke it. And then made a fool of himself because he thought it would appeal to his base. And he reached out to his base after those comments and thought it was good for him. I saw Eric Erickson's tweet saying that, the president's people reached out to him to talk about the comments that he made. So they thought this was good for them. They should. President Trump should stop playing race politics and should start solving this DACA problem.
Well, Dan, some people would say, this is an example of the swamp that the president went to Washington to try to drain.
There's no question. This man was elected to be a disruptor. His whole campaign, the catalyst for it was border security and our change to the immigration laws of this country. An overwhelming majority of the Republican primary electorate supported him in those positions, and now he's won the presidency. And it would be completely inappropriate at this stage to just be a president of the status quo, rubbing along with Dick Durbin and Lindsey Graham and Jeff Flake, perpetuating the problem. Here's the first opportunity to really be serious about resolving what is a failed immigration system.
We will see what happens Friday at midnight. Gentlemen, thank you. Dan Palmer, Jim Kessler.
Thank you.
Thanks for your